The night was dark and stormy as Mark drove down the desolate, winding road. The rain lashed against his car's windshield, creating a constant, eerie sound that amplified the isolation he felt. He was miles away from civilization, surrounded only by dense woods on either side of the road. Mark gripped the steering wheel tightly, trying to stay focused and keep his fear at bay. The radio crackled and faded out, leaving Mark in complete silence. His phone had no signal, making him feel even more isolated and vulnerable. He considered turning back, but the road behind him had already vanished into the impenetrable darkness. As he continued driving, Mark noticed a faint, flickering light ahead. It seemed to be coming from an old, dilapidated house that stood alone at the side of the road. Curiosity and desperation for any sign of civilization compelled him to investigate. He parked his car and cautiously approached the house. The front door creaked as he pushed it open. Inside, the air was stale and filled with the smell of decay. Mark's heart pounded in his chest as he explored the dimly lit rooms. Suddenly, he heard a soft whisper, barely audible over the howling wind outside. He turned around but found no one. Fear gripped him, and he decided to leave the house immediately. Back in his car, he started the engine and glanced at his rearview mirror. To his horror, a pale face with hollow eyes stared back at him from the back seat. Mark's screams echoed through the night as he jumped out of the car and ran back towards the house, seeking refuge from whatever malevolent presence was with him. The house, however, offered no sanctuary. It seemed to taunt him with its decaying walls and haunting silence. Mark's mind was racing, unsure of what to do. He couldn't stay in the house, but going back to the car was equally terrifying. In a desperate attempt to find help, Mark searched the house for a phone, but it was completely abandoned. As he reached the upper floor, he saw a flickering light emanating from one of the rooms. He pushed open the door to reveal a small, cluttered space with an ancient-looking lamp in the corner, the source of the flickering light. Before he could make sense of it, the lamp suddenly went out, and the room plunged into darkness. Panic set in, and Mark turned to leave, but the door had slammed shut behind him. He was trapped. The darkness seemed to envelop him, making it impossible to see anything. Amidst the darkness, Mark heard strange noises, footsteps, whispers, and an occasional sinister laughter. He felt an icy hand on his shoulder, and he spun around, but there was nothing there. A gut-wrenching terror gripped him, and he knew he had to escape. Mark felt his way around the room, desperately searching for a way out. He stumbled upon a small window that was covered with thick curtains. He tore the curtains down, and a sliver of moonlight seeped in, revealing an eerie sight outside. There were figures moving in the shadows, twisted and grotesque. Mark couldn't believe his eyes. It was like a nightmare had come to life. He took a deep breath, mustering all his courage, and broke the window with his elbow. The glass shattered, and he climbed through the narrow opening, cutting himself in the process. As he ran away from the haunted house, he heard the sound of footsteps pursuing him, but he didn't dare look back. Mark sprinted back to his car and sped away, his heart pounding in his ears. He didn't stop until he reached the nearest town, where he finally found help. The locals listened to his terrifying story with grave expressions, and some claimed the house he had stumbled upon was an old abandoned asylum, haunted by the spirits of tormented souls. From that night on, Mark was never the same. He could never forget the horrors he had experienced on that lonely road, and the memory haunted him in his dreams. He became a recluse, fearing the darkness and the unknown that lurked within it. And so, the tale of the man who drove down the lonely road and encountered unspeakable terror became a chilling legend that echoed through the town, warning others to never venture out on those dark and stormy nights. For the malevolent spirits that inhabited the abandoned asylum were always waiting, seeking new souls to torment in the darkness of the night.
Subscribe Shadowy Shivers for more horror stories and contents.